hear it? I can hear it. That clock is just ticking away. It's after 11 o'clock, and you know what that means. It means it's time for your favorite show and mine, Countdown to Armageddon, and I'm your host, Publius. And as you can see coming up on your screen as we speak right now, today's topic is the Biden administration's demanding Christians, doctors perform body mutilations. Alright, what this basically is about is Christian hospitals and Christian clinics. The Biden administration is trying to get a court order to force them to perform sex reassignment surgeries, turning men into women and women into men. The irony in all of this, or the sad thing in all of this, is you're trying to overcome someone's deeply held religious beliefs and force them to perform services and to provide services they don't believe in. This is dangerous. This is immoral. And this is just a continuation of the same attempt that was happened the last time Biden was in office. The Obama administration tried the same thing. They passed their Obamacare through a reconciliation thing. And I'm sorry, let me pause a second here. This whole reconciliation thing is just wrong in my book. The idea that the majority party can basically bypass the will of the minority, not negotiate whatsoever, by using this step called reconciliation and saying this is a budget fix problem, is, to me, it's unconstitutional. It's just flat out wrong. The idea is that we have a country where it's not majority rule, dictate, command everything. Part of the reason why the Senate is set up the way it is, with requirements of a certain percentage in order to pass certain laws, types of laws, particularly anything that involves money, is that the majority should not be dictating how the minority's money is spent. That they come up with this law that allows them to sneak this through, it's just wrong in my book. They did it with Obamacare. They knew they didn't have the votes to pass it as a legitimate law, so now they want to use so they used reconciliation then. Now you have the Biden administration drooling over the possibility of using reconciliation to pass everything on his dream list. Why? Because he knows he doesn't have a chance of doing it as a legitimate law. Obamacare was a travesty, and it's going to get worse. But the idea that the Biden administration feels they have the right to force people to violate their religion to appease other people is wrong. And the way you can tell it's wrong is who's being forced to do what. Is a person who wants, okay, you're a guy and you want to become a girl. So you want to have your body changed. So you go to your doctor and you get it done. To me, that's no different than anything else. You go to a doctor that's willing to do it and call it a day. And you sitting back going, well, but maybe the doctor, the cheapest doctor out there, doesn't perform them. Well, then you go to another doctor. That's why we live in the society we live in. We live in the United States where one person won't do it, somebody else will. No, that's not good enough for a certain group of people. And that same group of people, and, well, not even the same group, another group of people just like them, think that no, they don't have to go to somebody else. They can force people to do things against their views. What I'm talking about there, or I'm alluding to, is you want a cake for your wedding. You go to this guy, and he says, I don't do your particular type of wedding. And instead of being a rational adult and a grown up, what are you going to do? You're going to go to court and force them to? How stupid. You telling me there's only one baker in the city? That's a lie. That's bull. You're just trying to force somebody to conform to your will. And how do you know this is somebody forcing somebody else to do something? Simple. Who's being made to do what? If you're being made to do something, then your rights are being abridged. If you're being made to make a cake for a wedding, your rights are being abridged. Now, somebody will say, well, that's just trying to force them not to be discriminatory. No, you're not asking them to be treated equal, because treating everybody equal would be an undecorated cake or a simple generic cake. No, you want them to decorate it and make it all pretty and fancy. You want to use his artistic talents for your benefit. Or hers, it doesn't matter. Now, is there a difference between this and, say, the county clerk that wouldn't issue marriage licenses to gay couples? Yes, there's a big difference. The county clerk was hired for a job. Her job isn't to make and choose which licenses she gives out. Her job is to give out licenses. There's no creative input. There is no specialty. There's no specific acts on her part other than handing out a paper. She knew that was part of the job, that her job was to do what the county laws say. If you're in that type of situation, and this goes the same thing for the cake baker who works for, the Walmart. You don't have the right to sit there and pick and choose what jobs you take. You work for a public entity. But the private baker, he doesn't. As a doctor, I'm sorry, if you're trying to make your doctor do something that he doesn't agree with, what is this? Slavery's allowed now? I've already said before, I think that's stupid. I don't want nobody cutting on me, doing an operation, doing a procedure he finds wrong, because his heart's not going to be in it. The idea that the government is targeting specifically Christian doctors, that's a warning shot to me, because that means the next step is they're going to target Christian churches and Christian organizations and demand they provide support to things that they don't believe in. Eventually, you're going to get it to where Christianity is illegal. No, you're sitting there going, man, you're going nuts. That ain't going to happen. Oh, yes, it is. Anybody who says otherwise is dreaming. They're specifically targeting Christianity. They did it with the cakes because, let's face it, if you don't believe me, find me a gay or lesbian activist that is going to go out to a Muslim bakery and demand they make a gay wedding. It ain't going to happen. You're going to get told no. But nobody says anything about them. Why? Because they're a protected group also. Christians, they're a safe target. After all, everybody knows they're all a bunch of bigoted hate engines, so let's go ahead and attack them. I mean, the only reason why these guys won't perform these surgeries is because they're bigots. Folks, this is the beginnings of a war that we're not going to like the outcome of. Because when society can dictate what you can or cannot believe, the First Amendment is gone. Religious liberty is gone. I know there are those out there that sit there and say, well, you can believe whatever you want, just keep it in your house. Well, no, I don't think so. Because their behavior can't be kept in their house. You're trying to force them to behave in ways that they see as immoral. You can't do that. That's wrong. And it is against the Constitution. This is not a case of the cake maker at Walmart. The cake maker at Walmart took a job working for a public entity to provide cakes. That's all they do. And let's face it, Walmart doesn't go real fancy on their cakes. You order a cake, they do the cake. All they have to do is do what's been ordered. There's a difference between going to a Walmart bakery and a privately owned bakery. The difference is Walmart's a public company. There's a difference between going to a bakery, a private bakery that does not provide that only provides certain types of services, and going to your county clerk. They both only provide certain services, but one is required by law to provide them. The other one is not. It's a private entity. And that's something that we seem to have forgotten in this country. The difference between public and private. Private means privately owned. They set their own rules. You used to see on the signs on the doors, we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. It's their business. They don't want to do it, go somewhere else. That's called being an adult. And if it really offended you, then go ahead and spread the word. Tell all the rest of your friends, don't go there. They don't do this. That's called being proactive. You can boycott and legally get away with it. That's your actions. Taking them to court because they don't agree with you? No. What you're then doing is trying to get the courts to force someone to support your views. That is not acceptable. You know, it's a sad state of affairs when we have the government trying to force people to violate their own religious beliefs in order to make other people feel better. When did your feelings become a priority? When did your needs suddenly outweigh the rights of other people? And I'm even going to give it to you as a need. When does your need or your wants or your desires supersede another one's rights? I'll tell you quite honestly, never. You do not have the right to take from someone else. Never. If they voluntarily provide for you, and they voluntarily give to you, it's not your right to demand more. You've taken and missed the point. You've taken and missed the idea, that line between a right and a gift. No one has the right to force anyone else to do anything other than leave them alone. And these people are not demanding to be left alone. They're demanding to be treated and to have services provided to them that the person that's providing the services doesn't agree with. That is wrong. And it's up to our courts to sit there and say this is bogus. Now, Biden administration is trying to use the courts. Why? Because all of the same provision is in the Equality Act. Biden is rightfully a little worried that he's not going to get that through. Too many people are sitting back going, you're violating religious liberty. Now he's hoping he can get some judge somewhere to reverse the rulings of the previous judges and allow him to force people to violate their views. I hope and pray that never happens. I hope and pray that the courts will never say, well, it's okay to force someone to go against their religion just to appease a certain minority. No. I don't think it's right to force someone to go against their religion to appease the majority. You don't force people. The minute you start using force, then the question becomes, whose views get enforced? And generally, you're not going to like the outcome of that, because when a government enforces beliefs and morals of one group over another, There's always somebody that's subjugated. Okay, folks. Now, this has been. It's a very touchy subject, and a lot of people have a different view on whether it's discrimination or standing up for your own beliefs. The reality is, discrimination is not something that it really fits. Well, it does, but you're getting a conflict between two different sets of rights. And the way to decide that is any party being forced to do something? Whoever's being forced has had their rights violated more. So yes, it is a form of discrimination. It is saying, no, I'm not going to make a gay cake. No, I'm not going to perform sex surgeries. The question is, do you think it's better to force someone to violate their beliefs? Or is it better to tell the other person, go find another doctor, go find another baker? The one that has the least damage is to tell them to grow up and go find somebody else. Because all too often, in my personal opinion, they didn't want the cake in the first place. They only went there just to piss off the baker so they could have their lawsuit. So they could force someone to violate their beliefs. Because it's okay for them to have their beliefs, but not for anybody else. That's bogus. So, as you're sitting there and you're reading these articles and you're sitting there and thinking about all this, think about who's being forced. If someone is being forced to do something, that's slavery. And I thought we were all against slavery. This has been Waiting and Later. And this has been Countdown to Armageddon with your host, Publius. Hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you have, please hit that like button. And a little, call it a station break. A station event. Heck, it's a little message to all of you out there on BitChute. I'm sorry. I know I have not been keeping you updated. I am correcting this, and within the next few days, you'll have all the episodes fully uploaded on BitChute also. The advantage of BitChute is, well, the YouTube Mafia doesn't get to tell me not to say certain things. The YouTube Mafia doesn't get to tell me, well, we found that you violated some of our terms and services, so we're going to age restrict your message. So, if you want to be able to fully follow me, I am getting that BitChute channel up to date, and I will keep it up to date, and it will be basically the main channel. I will continue to upload videos here on YouTube, and eventually I hope to upload them to other platforms. So, if you want to support me, you will also see that there's a list of different ways you can do so in the comment section, so that you can know the different ways that you can support this channel. You can support this channel through the platform, or as it says in the comments, email me. We'll talk. We'll see what we can come up with. Thank you all. I hope you have a great day. And remember, the easiest way to support this channel is just hit that like button, share it, and subscribe. So you guys have a great day.